Hey, good morning, everyone. Time for the morning drive. Happy Thursday to you. Hopefully your Thursday morning's off to a good start, or Thursday evening, whatever the case may be. It has been a quick week so far. I mean, there's one more day left, and then it's the weekend already, man. I'm telling you, it's flying by, which I like. I mean, a lot of times when I have things I want to do on the weekend, I love it when it flies by. Now, tonight I might do a poker tournament. I don't know. You guys know I love poker, and I like playing in the tournaments. And there's one tonight that's not a bad one for a Thursday. I just have to decide, do I truly want to be dragging in at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, and still having to get up early on Friday? So I don't know. Anyway, I did. I checked my email just before I went to bed last night, and I had an email from one of the viewers that was asking a question, because during my stream home last night, the afternoon drive, and even last night we touched on a little bit. I let you guys know, you know, I'm an entrepreneur. I love business, and this, you know, the email basically said that this guy and his wife wanted to start a restaurant, and they knew I had restaurant experience, and they asked for some tips, and I was like, you know what, restaurants are not, I mean, he went into detail about, you know, what they want to do, the kind of restaurant, and, you know, how long that their family has been in the restaurant business before their generation. It was his father's father, and then even his dad was in the restaurant business when he was a boy. And now him and his wife want to start a restaurant, and they were asking, you know, he was asking basically just some, you know, for some tips to get started, primarily about choosing a location and, you know, leases, things of that nature, things that are intimidating when you first get into business. And he had heard that the restaurants are like, they fail all the time, and here's kind of the way I'm looking at it. I'm going to be real honest with you. The restaurant business is not hard if you go about it the right way. It's really not. I mean, people can make it out. It's usually the people that are brand new to it, that just get into it, that kind of freak out a little bit because they don't have that experience. But it's really not a hard business if you are, you've got to really be mindful of the nickels, dimes, and pennies, because it really is a business that is predicated on how well you run the operation and how tightly you run it. But it's not difficult, and I'll be more than happy to go into that. I don't know if I want to do it on the morning drive, maybe on a show in the evening time or something. But I mean, I can tell you some basic stuff that might help you, you know, at this point. But after this, honestly, man, it's not, no business is difficult as long as you take the time to really think through the decisions you make and what's going on with it. Business is not hard, but I will tell you that in your case, you know, you'd asked about leases and some tips, you know, with your lease. And let me tell you, I'm going to come up here, I'm going to grab some caffeine from McDonald's, and then I'll be more than happy to go into a little bit and just kind of let you know some things that might help you. Hopefully you find them helpful. They're tips that, you know, I've used over the years many times that have served me very well and saved me a lot of money. And that's really the point of anything, is to save some money and make some money. So I'll kind of share those with you in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and swing by here, get my morning caffeine, and see Mallory, who will probably be here. We'll see.
Thank you for choosing McDonald's. How may I help you?
Good morning. Could I get a large Diet Coke?
What else can I get for you?
That's all. Thank you.
107 at the first window. My pleasure to serve you. Thank you.
I'd buy stock in McDonald's if I didn't hate their food so much. but they're convenient for my soda. I actually almost stopped by. I've been thinking about doing the Taco Bell in the morning, but I just don't know if they're open this early. But if they are, it's definitely something worth looking into. Only because they have Diet Mountain Dew. Alrighty. About 6:18, so let's see if I can make it there by 7. Oh my God. I got a few hours sleep last night. I don't know why I'm kind of groggy this morning. Sometimes it's not solid sleep. I actually went out and I have the Fitbit, so it'll kind of track my sleep patterns, and I kind of got to laugh because I would review how I slept, how much time I have in REM sleep and deep sleep. Really pathetic. I mean, it's almost like saying I don't sleep at all. You good? Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Good.
This is an awesome day.
Yeah, nice weather, not too bad, just a little bit foggy, overcast, dreary, but other than that.
It makes it beautiful.
Yeah, I was to say, other than that. Yeah.
You have a great day.
Awesome, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey, good morning to you. That's all right. I never drink it all anyway. I drink about a quarter of it. But thank you.
Everybody doing?
Hey guys, Mallory says hi. We'll see.
Wearing my blue shirt.
There you go, Johnston. There you go. 850 strong, man. Hey, I'd say have fun, but you're working. So
yeah, ain't that true? Yeah,
we'll see you tomorrow. Mallory is one of the biggest fans of the shows, I guess. She loves to be on the video. So anyway, going back to what we were talking about, you wanted some tips on the lease. You guys are looking at signing a lease, finding a location. I'm cool with that. Here's the tips I can give you, the advice I can give you, and kind of across the board for really any business, but more so in a restaurant. Location is everything. Location, location, location. I don't care how great the deal is on your lease or anything else. If it's not in a area where people will go to, and usually 3 to 5 miles within their home, you're not gonna do well. You've got to have a great location. You've got to have usually a solid anchor if you're in a plaza, or you don't want to be, one of the locations you'd mentioned was a business complex where you would cater to the businesses there, but based on what you said, it's so far away that after, who's going to be your dinner crowd, who's going to be, and if you're only dependent on just the people that business, it's not a good idea. So, and plus the type of restaurant you want to do is a full service restaurant, so you really do need to be in a really good area. Now, the nice part about that is you usually have plenty of different locations within a concentration, an area. So the cool part about it is you've got a lot of negotiating power when you go to get your actual location. And what I would strongly suggest is reach out to 3 or 4 different, locations, not just one. Don't fall on that. Rule number 1: don't fall in love with your location. Don't say, I've got to be here, this is the one I want. That type of mentality is going to cost you paying a pretty penny for your lease, because landlords will sense that, and the people, the leasing agents, they're even though it might have been sitting there for a year, if they sense that you're hungry and you want that particular location, they're going to gouge you top dollar for it. So get 3 or 4 locations. Let them know that you're considering 3 or 4 different locations. Make sure you go prepared when you go to these meetings to talk about and take a look at the property. You want to make sure you've got the literature and the sheets and everything from the other places that you've been looking at. And when they start telling you, oh, well, we're $15 a square foot triple net, you can say, wow, you're $15, that's high. Whatever price they quote you, it's high. It doesn't matter what it is, even if it's a great price, and they say, oh, it's $8 a square foot. You just gotta go, wow, $8, really? All right, we're getting competitive there, but I'll keep that in mind. So you've got to, don't ever tell them what a great, oh, that's great. No, whatever price they quote you, first of all, it's the higher price. And they're not going to be giving you a great deal because they want to make money on it. Now, there are some exceptions to that. We can talk about that later. But so anyway, the location is everything. You want a great location, and you don't want to kill yourself with a high, especially because they're going to throw in this triple net. If you don't know what a triple net lease is, it's where you're paying your portion and proration of taxes, maintenance of the plaza. So, like typically an anchor in a plaza, because they're such a large footprint, they will pay a much higher triple net, or they will pay the bulk of the maintenance and the trash for that. But you still have to pay your prorated share. And that can be high too, but you can also negotiate things like that. So when you're going to look for your lease, you're looking for your property, first thing is location, find a great location. Now when you go in to talk about your lease and negotiate your lease, there's things you want to take in mind and keep in mind that a lot of times people don't when they're signing leases. First of all, the lease is a contract, and contracts are negotiated. So even though they say this is how it is and this is what they're going to try and dictate to you, you got to understand, even though they don't want you to believe you do, even though they don't want you to actually, you have the ball. It's in your court. You can make and negotiate a better contract, a better deal. That's really, one of the things is every contract can be negotiated. That's what it's there for. Now they'll want you to accept it, just the way they put it out there. This is how much the rent is, this is what the triple net is, and this is it. No, that's not true. You got to look out for yourself, because nobody else will. So here's one of the things, when they bring you your contract and you're going for negotiations, the first thing you need to do is read it and understand it. And the last one I signed was 34 pages, 35 pages, and it was detailed. First of all, if they don't have a non-compete agreement in there, they can put 5 or 6 more restaurants right next to you that do the same type of food. You want to have a non-compete specifically for your type of food, and there's certain things, if you have certain deals that you run, Super Bowl parties, whatever it is that you're going to do that you don't want a competitor surrounding you doing it, make sure you get that in your contract, your lease, that you have an exclusive right to this. Look at your parking. Make sure you've got allocated enough spaces. Sometimes they give you a great location and say, and you have the 4 spaces out front. If you're a restaurant, 4 spaces out front is nothing. You want to be able to have free, a lot larger parking spaces for your folks. So little things like that. But now, one of the things that a lot of people fail to do when they do a lease, you've got to consider your business model. And got to consider for example, I'll give you an example. An ice cream. Let's say you wanted to open an ice cream shop. Okay, well, guess what? Think about this. Let's say you're in Ohio or Michigan or any of the eastern states, and you want to start an ice cream shop. What would you think would be your worst months to sell ice cream? Duh, it's winter time, right? Winter or even fall. You know, you have a certain peak for ice cream. You know, let's face it, people want ice cream in the summertime when it's hot, when it's warm, you know, or when it's even, you know, maybe late spring. But the rest of the year, ice cream sales are probably going to be slow, you know, depending. Now, if you're in a shopping mall, you still might get, you know, of course, because it's a heated mall, whatever, you still might get, you know, a good business in the winter months or whatever. But for the most part, it's better to assume that there's going to be your slow periods. You need to have it put in your contract that during certain months, instead of paying full rent, you're going to pay a percentage of your gross up to your rent that you would normally pay. So what you do is in your contract, you say, hey, look, during the months of October through March, you know, instead of paying X amount for rent each month, you know, they will get 40% of your gross, you know, for those months. The idea is when you're hurting and you're doing poorly, they're going to be hurting and doing poorly with you, I guess, the best way to say it. But when you're thriving and you're doing well, they're going to be doing well, getting their full rent and everything that they want. So you want to balance that load. You don't want to take on the entire, you know, load of, okay, God, you know, I've got this business, but like in Arizona, for example, in Arizona, the restaurant I had Whiskey River Barbecue and Brew. Now in Arizona, they go to the restaurant all year long. I mean, they could go every day, didn't matter. However, I still negotiated 4 months out of the year, and I said, look, these 4 months when it gets hot, I mean, and it does 8 months out of the year in Arizona, beautiful, sunshine, blue sky, great temperatures, people are active out on golf courses playing, a lot of fun, but there are 4 months out of the year that are absolutely miserable, hot. So those are the 4 months I would negotiate, and I would get a reduced lease payment. You know, and I'd say, okay, look, during these 4 months, people stay at home. They do more backyard barbecues. It's slow in my industry, so I want to make sure that I only pay a percentage of gross up to the amount of rent that we originally, you know, agreed on. So there's ways that you want to work and create a win-win for you and the landlord. But if you've got somebody who's unwilling to budge on certain things, look elsewhere. Because if you've got a tough landlord now in the negotiation stages who's not open to being accommodating, you sure don't want that guy as a landlord, because I'll tell you, you want people, a lot of landlords realize business is going to be up and down, and a lot of them will say, oh, well, I want my money no matter what. Well, you know what? That's not business. Business is when you're thriving, I'm thriving, that's a good business, you know, relationship. Other than that, you don't want to get involved with them. So when you choose your location, I'm going to tell you, you want to make sure you get a good landlord, make sure you negotiate, you know, as far as price per square foot. We can talk about that later. I can actually tell you that some of the deals that I've negotiated, I don't even really do price per square foot. I would do like, this is what I would pay a month. You know, you can negotiate it however you feel, and you'd be surprised. Most people are surprised at what they really truly can get from a landlord. You have to understand that in any business that you go into, especially if you're going into a shopping plaza or an area that's being built up, a newer area, people that own these plazas, they use all the leases as collateral on other loans. So when there's a new plaza that goes up, the most important thing to that particular company that built this plaza is to get it leased out as quick as possible. Why? Because if they get it leased out and they have all the leases in place, they have leases in hand, they can go back to their banker and say, look, I've got 5-year leases, 8-year leases, 10-year leases. I need another $2.5 million so I can go ahead and build this other shopping plaza. And the banks will absolutely give them loans based on this property that they've leased out. So they want you in that property. First and foremost, they want you in there. Second is to the extent that they will give you so much that you probably never thought of but they will willingly give it to you to get you in there because over the long term, the value to them is better. So I'll give you an example. When I would negotiate my lease, I would say to them, I would always start with an infrastructure, something that you always put things in your contract or your lease that you don't really need, or but you can negotiate out of later. So one of the things I would always do in most plazas, they don't wire the plazas or the restaurants. They don't wire them up for true high-speed business services. So when I would go in and I would tell them, oh, I need a high-speed business connection, like a fiber connection or whatever, and they always say the same thing. They'll always, because they're in their minds, they're thinking internet connection. Yeah, you need internet, but I always make sure to specify it that I need a fiber connection for high-speed internet access. And you use the term fiber, and they're kind of oblivious to it. They just assume that that's what it is, but they don't realize that to bring the type of connection I specify in my lease, to bring that to the building is going to be exuberantly expensive for them. It's going to be super expensive, and that usually doesn't come out until everything is pretty much done, because it's one of the last things that they do during the build-out. And that's another thing, talking about build-out, a lot of the landlords want you to pay for a lot of the build-out. I'm going to tell you right now, you don't have to. And I'll explain that in a second. But anyway, by telling them you need this high-speed fiber connection, they usually wait until the end of the, just before they're ready to put everything in. Then they'll call the cable company. They'll call and say, yes, I need this. And they'll usually read what you have, written down in your lease. And they'll say, I need a high-speed, T1 or T3, whatever you put in there, internet connection for the high-speed video, audio, data transfer. And all of a sudden, they find out 30 grand, 40 grand to get this run to your location. Now, it's in the contract. They've negotiated it, you've negotiated, they've approved it, and they're going to get on the phone and go, whoa, man, they want 30, 40 grand to bring this connection to you. We are not going to pay that. And you simply say, well, look, guys, you've already done the build-out, everything. I've got a lease, I got a contract. That's in the contract. And they're like, well, we'll split it with you. That's usually what they say at first. Well, we'll split it with it. You pay half, we'll pay half. But we're not putting in that. And you say, well, it's a contract. We can have the lawyers hash it out, but it's something that's in there for a reason. I need that. Now, I can work with my IT guy, and I can see if we could possibly do it, with less of a connection. But I don't know, with the servers that we got to put in place and everything, I'll have to talk to them. So now you let them soak for maybe 2 or 3 days and let them, kind of worry about this. And then the next call you make to them and say, look, we've looked at it, and we're going to need, something in place that works for us. So here's, we'll make a deal with you. The front of your plaza, you've got this giant monument sign with signage for all these businesses that are in the plaza. Now, normally they charge you extra for that signage. It's called monument signage in the plaza. They'll charge you extra per month just to be on that monument sign. And then you say, we also need, because we're on your corner space, we need 2 signs for the corner. So we'll tell you what, if you want to, you give us, for the life of our contract and any extensions, you give us premium space on your monument sign, and you go ahead and also pay for the signs for the building. If you do that, we'll go ahead and we'll just take care of putting in what we need. It'll be easier because we can talk and work with them. And then right away they'll say, yeah, that's a deal. We'll do that. And now they know that each sign on the building, each sign is going to be probably 4 grand, 5 grand for the signs. And then the monument sign is usually not that expensive because it's already in place, the structure. So to them, to spend $12,000 or $15,000 to put your signage there and give you your monument sign, that's a steal for them because they don't got to come out of pocket. It's just like splitting it. Now, the truth of the matter is you never needed that fiber, that the T1 or T3 line, So you go ahead and make a call and just have them come in, put a DSL line in or a cable internet connection, and that's one of the ways that you actually don't have to pay $15,000 in signage. So you always put things in your contract that you can negotiate out of later. Now, one of the things too, like in your case, restaurants, you had said you guys want to start this restaurant. Well, think about this. First of all, I would look for any restaurants that are in your area that have already closed down. A lot of times you can find restaurants that have all the equipment already in it, or most of the equipment you need already there. They've got the tables, the chairs, they may have some of the kitchen stuff in the kitchen, but a lot of times these people will go into business and they'll start businesses that just don't do well for the area. Not that the location was bad, just that their business was bad or their business model was bad. So definitely look for that. And look for, the businesses that you might be able to step into easier. But a lot of times, let's say you can't find an existing business that you can negotiate, because usually if it's already built for a restaurant, you can get killer deals, because they don't want to have to gut it and put some other type of business in there. They've got their grease traps in place. They've got everything they need. They want another restaurant there. And if you express the interest, a lot of times you can negotiate a hell of a deal, because buildings like that will sit for long periods of time, sometimes years. They'll be taking a loss on that for years, because most people will say, well, you know what, that restaurant didn't make it. I don't want to put my restaurant there. And it may not be the restaurant at all. It may literally have been the operation or the type of food, So the location may be great, the food may have been bad, or the restaurant management may have been bad. But if you can't find that, and you have to start from scratch, you're going to want to talk to them. Instead of you spending all your money and doing doing a build out, you can also negotiate what's called a turnkey deal. Turnkey deal is great. They go in, you design it, you say, this is what I want. I want, the kitchen put back here. I want bathrooms here. Because when they give it to you, it's all one big open white box, and it has to be built out. And usually they'll give you the name of a contractor, or they'll say, you handle your build out. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if they want you in the space, they'll do a turnkey deal for you, which means they will do everything needed for you and give you the keys to open that restaurant. Now, that goes back to your kitchen and your. A lot of times, what people leave on the table that they don't ask for a build out allowance, because if you're not going to have a turnkey deal done, you definitely want to have a build out allowance, which means, let's say you're leasing 2,000 square feet. You can usually get up to 1.5 times your rate of lease. Let's say you're paying $15 a square foot. Usually you can get 15 to, maybe $30 a square foot, depending, times the 2,000 square feet. That'll help you if you have to do your own build out. So don't leave that on, if they're going to make you do your own build out, if they're not willing to do a turnkey, make sure you at least get that money that's on the table. So if you can get $30 a square foot times 2,000 square feet, do the math. That's money you don't want to leave on the table. You want to get that up front. But most of the time, as I said, they'll do a turnkey deal. And if they agree to do that and do your build out, one of the things you also want to tell them is you want FF&E. FF&E is really important, because once again, that's money that you can get up to 1.5 to 2 times, to double your square footage, the cost per square foot. So once again, if you say to them, look, I need some FF&E, and I'd like $30 in FF&E, so what that means is they'll take 2,000 square feet, and they'll give you $30 per square foot for furnitures, fixtures, and equipment, FF&E. And those, now all of a sudden, they write you a check for $60,000. And what do? $60,000. You go out and buy new stoves, you go get your refrigerators put in, you get your that's nothing too. Dishwashers are free. I can tell you, there's so many things in a restaurant you don't have to pay for, but most people not knowing they do. So it's amazing though. But anyway, so you take that 60 grand and you go ahead and you buy your booths. You know, if you haven't had them included, I would actually, you know, talk about a turnkey. I would say that those are things I need for my turnkey. But hang on, guys, I got police up here, kind of routing us around. Anyway, so those are some things to keep in mind. You can do the turnkey deals. Don't leave FF&E, furniture, fixtures, equipment. Don't leave that on the table. Also, if you're get a build-out allowance. If you in fact have to do a build-out of your business, don't leave that money on the table. Now, what you can do also, what I as I said, put things in the lease that you can negotiate out of later, and you can kind of give as a concession. Now, there's also a clause in almost every contract. Landlords want you to be responsible for your HVAC. HVAC is their air conditioning, heating units that you know your business utilizes. Bad idea for you to agree to be responsible for the HVAC for their building. That, let's say your air conditioner dies and it's $5,000 to replace it. When you leave, you cannot get that money back, and you can't take the air conditioner with you because it becomes a fixture of their building. So you can't ever say that you'll be responsible for HVAC. You tell them, look, guys, I'm not going to. You have new units or old units, whatever you have. But if you have a good company and everything that you've done well in the building, you should have a warranty on them. I'm not going to be responsible for it. That's something you guys are going to have to take care of. If there's ever a problem, now you say to me there won't be a problem, they're all new units, then you should have no problem taking it yourself and being responsible for those. But if there's a storm, if there's anything, I'm not going to be responsible for it. Don't let them sucker you into the HVAC. And they'll say, well, this is standard in the contract. This is non-negotiable. This is the way it is. Then you say, well, you know what? I got a contract in my briefcase at home. Then it's not standard. It's not required. And they definitely have said they can stand behind their workmanship and their products. And they're much more confident than you are about what the quality of what they're using for their building. You just got to stand firm on certain things, because otherwise, you know, they will run over you, and you'll come to find out later they just replaced your air conditioning unit that might have been 10 years old, 20 years old, and they replaced it on your dime. Yeah, you don't want to get involved with that. So there are a lot of nuances in contracts, especially when leasing for restaurants. In your case, you're going to do a full-service restaurant. You want to make sure you've got that in there to where there's a non-compete. They won't put another restaurant doing the same type of food. I've walked into places that had 2 or 3 pizza places in a restaurant or in a plaza, and I'm like, why in the world you've got a Domino's over here? And actually, normally it's not a Domino's. It's usually like neighborhood, you know, pizza, because most of the Domino's, the Little Caesars, the Hungry Howie's, you know, the national Papa John's, these national pizza chains, they're smart enough when they negotiate a lease to actually put a non-compete in there. But a lot of the little smaller businesses don't do that. They don't know any better. They just take a contract the way it's written. So those are some tips. I mean, there's so much more that I could talk to you about contracts. But the key thing is, and also, if you can, don't negotiate per square foot. Just say, look, you know, because if you look at it, they say, oh, it's we want $15 a square foot, and you're going to lease 1,000 square feet. So your rent is going to be $1,500 a month. Now, that doesn't sound too bad if you can generate that. But when you get into larger restaurants, like full service, like mine was 5,000 square feet. And basically what I didn't want to pay any kind of triple net. And this, I wanted one. I said, look, I says, you want to put me in? I said, here's what we're going to do. I says, $4,000 a month. Now, my competitors, the other guys in the same plaza across, they were paying $12,000. They were paying $12,000 a month. I went in, negotiated $4,000 a month, plus 4 months out of the year, a percentage of gross. So you can imagine the competitive advantage. Just my overhead gave me, where I didn't have to generate. They spent a ton more money trying to get people into their restaurants because they had, so it's kind of that's, you need more, you spend more for advertising. And the nice thing is, I benefited from their advertising because I was just as visible in that plaza, and I couldn't count how many times people started to go to their restaurant, but then they saw the specials I was running and then came into my restaurant. You can also leverage your competition to your benefit many times. And you can also, and in that same respect, you can work with your competition to lift all of your businesses up. There's ways to do that. So, a lot of great things if you're going to do that. And I strongly encourage you, catch me in a channel if we're doing the chat online and everything. Jump on and ask whatever questions you got. I don't mind. I mean, I really, truly love helping people that want to get started, helping entrepreneurs. It's great to be able to give you some tips. And there's so many, especially in the restaurant industry. I learned from the best. I had the mentor that taught me, because I actually got into it on an accident. I had two people that wanted me and my wife to co-invest and be partners in this restaurant, and we were just going to handle the payroll, all the business side of it. They were going to run the restaurant. Well, we found out real quick they didn't know how to run a restaurant. They were going to put us all into bankruptcy. So we basically gave them the option to buy us out, and they just said, "Well, screw it, we're just going to walk away." And they left. So I had them sign off that, sign everything back to us, and we flipped that sucker, turned it around, went from $18,000 a month to $80,000 a month. And you just have to learn and know. I mean, I reached out to the guy who was my mentor, and I says, "Look, man, Ralph, you've got all these restaurants you've done. Give me some tips. I'm out here in Arizona, and I got saddled with this one. The couple walked away that told us they knew the restaurant industry, but they didn't." And Ralph said, man, he spent hours on the phone with me. And he said, "Okay, let me tell you the lowdown." And he taught me so much that his 40, 50 years of experience of doing this that I never would have known. I mean, and I talked to people before even getting into the venture. I talked to people, and they didn't even know half the stuff he knew. So, using what he taught us, we had done what I suggested earlier. We found a great location that was previously a restaurant, but they were a very high class. I mean, they took this restaurant where your meals would have been $50 for a meal, $40 for a meal. They put this very fancy restaurant in an area with middle class, blue collar workers that don't go to snooty restaurants. So they didn't make it, but the infrastructure was in place. So it was $1 million restaurant. The guy had literally spent $1 million to do the bar and do everything, and we walked into that for $1,000 out of pocket, and then we basically redid it. But I will tell you, those deals are everywhere, especially in this economy going, it's getting stronger, but it's still, they're out there. But one of the things that was really, for us, a key turning point was when we took it over, there was so much we wanted to change, but I didn't want to spend my money on it. And that was where, we had already negotiated FF&E and all the stuff that we needed. But I found out that, for example, it was plumbed, the bar, the waitress stations, everything. It was all plumbed for Coca-Cola, and I like Coke. I love Coke products, but if you count, we contacted Pepsi, and Pepsi said, "Hey, if you buy our bag-in-the-box syrup, you buy Pepsi products, we'll send our guys in there. We'll rip all of that old stuff off, and we'll put all brand new stuff for you, fountains, lines, everything, and we'll redo it for nothing." So you bet. We took them up on that. They put in brand new, everything was amazing. Didn't cost me anything. Then washers, the dishwashers, when we first got in there, they were all kind of beat up and older, you know, so we contacted a company and they said, hey, you know what, we'll give you free dishwashers, and we'll give you a free dishwasher at the bar, no charge for those, as long as you buy the cleaning products from us at this rate. And we said, well, that's that's too much for the cleaning products. We're not going to pay that much for them. They said, well, here's what we'll do. We'll give you a small lease payment on the equipment, and we'll put in brand new equipment, because they were going to go with some refurbished equipment at no charge. But they said, otherwise, we'll give you brand new equipment. You'll make a very small monthly payment. It was $80, I think, for the washer in the kitchen. Big, beautiful dishwasher, and one in the bar. And they said, and then we'll give you the chemicals at a really reduced price. So that was the bomb. It was very minimal cost and a lot of benefit from it. So, you know, glasses and, you know, cookingware, didn't pay for any of that. So many things that I would have been shelling out my own money for had I not reached out and learned truly from somebody who knew. So guys, I wish you and your wife the best. I wish you a ton of success with it. And I'm always available. POV America, go ahead and send, POV America at Outlook.com. You've got my email. Feel free to ask me anytime if you have questions, if you need helps or tips. And I mean, like I said, restaurants are great. Like here, for example, there's a restaurant right there behind me that has been over a year and a half, 2 years, well, actually more than 2 years. That restaurant is sat empty. I went and looked at it inside, fully, I mean, it is literally 100% all the booth, and it looks like everything's brand new. I went around and looked in the kitchen. I took a tour of it. I had the guy come and show me. That's a restaurant anybody could walk into, but you got to look at the location you're in. High traffic. And if you got the right kind of food, it would be great to be there. That's probably a great place for a barbecue, because you've got high traffic on this road, and people, or some kind of a specialty food if you're, something that's not sold in town. A lot of opportunity. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, call me if you need, email me if you need help. I'll be more than happy to tell you some more tips. And from what I've learned, and I welcome your call, your emails, and everything. So, but do me a favor, guys. Also, I'm going to do a shameless plug because I'm getting close to my turn up here, I'm sure. But on Twitch, then go ahead and subscribe to me on YouTube, or the channel that the platform that you're watching. Definitely appreciate that. And if you are into business, or if you're an entrepreneur, please reach out. I'm more than happy to help you. I've pretty much had a great run being an entrepreneur. Love it. I'll probably lose you guys here in a minute until we get parked. As I go across here and I get a few miles down the road here, I'll lose this connection until I get parked. But as you can see, it is way foggy this morning, so I don't know if my connection's been in and out or if I've had a stable one. But I can barely see, 100 yards in front of me. So, but do me a favor. I will be on the afternoon stream. I'll do the afternoon stream about 3:30. So if you get a chance, check it out, and we'll try and talk a little bit more. I'll check my email over lunchtime and see if I got any more emails. But you got any topics? POV America at Outlook.com. We can pick it up there and see what else we can talk about. And then I'll see you tonight at 7 o'clock, 7 to whatever. Last night I just did a quick one. I hope you guys didn't mind that. I just did about 30 minutes. I had some things I really wanted to get finished, and I wanted to work a little bit more on the platform software. I'm kind of wanting to change things a little. Anyway, I hope you have a great Thursday. If you're Thursday morning, Thursday evening, I don't know. I'm finding out that people are watching from all over the place. I've got people in the Netherlands watching. I've got people in Australia. Didn't even think. And that's where I usually lose you, right there. Then here. All right, guys. Thanks for staying with me during the morning drive. If you stayed with me the whole way, hopefully I didn't bore you too much with business talk. But I did get, as I said, I got a great email. A husband and wife, they want to start a restaurant, and I definitely can help you do that or give you some tips. And hopefully I did give you some good information. Email me back. It may have been a lot of stuff you already knew, and if you did already know that, well, hey, that's great. You're already ahead of the game then. But if you didn't know that, I'm glad I could help, and I've got plenty more tips for you, things that'll help save you money, time, effort, and all that stuff. I must be in the front row today. Look at that. All right. So, anyway, guys, have a great Thursday. I will go ahead and see you at about 3:30 today. We'll do the afternoon drive home. And thanks again for hanging with me this morning, and have a great day.